Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exclusive webinar by FX Pesa. My name is Rufas Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So today, we are going to be having a very interesting session. So it's a little bit divergent. It's different from the other sessions we have been doing, which have been basically focused on technical analysis and trying to understand the current trends in the markets. So today's topic will be the fundamental analysis tools that every trader should have. So we'll be looking to answer a couple of questions. So the first question will be, where do you get Forex trading news? Two, what news should you focus on and which ones should you ignore? Then we'll look at where do you get news regarding gold as well as oil. So I know there's a lot of traders that majorly focus on gold, others on trading oil. So where do you get news that pertain to that? Then we will be looking at the top analysts in Forex, gold, indices, oil, and all that. And also, we'll be looking at the best economic calendars as well as earnings calendars. And these are basically sites or platforms where you get all this information. We'll be looking at where you get live streaming news. And this is to keep you updated on everything happening in the markets. And once we go through this, hopefully we get to create value for everyone. So feel free to interact while I continue the session. So you can always type your questions in the live comment section, and I'll be responding to them as we continue. So I'm hoping that this will be a fruitful session. So we'll not majorly be focusing on these charts. And as a caveat emptor, for anyone who is following through this particular session, I am assuming that you've been trading for a while, you've done your research, you understand technical analysis, trend lines, candlesticks, you're able to analyze markets by yourself, you are able to identify chart patterns, trading setups, you know how to set your stop loss, take profit, and all that. And if you haven't done so, I would like to recommend a course that I've created myself. It's called the Novice to Pro series, and it's available on FX Pesa YouTube. So just go to the FX Pesa YouTube channel and then look for the Novice to Pro series. That will help you give a quick jump from a complete beginner to a pro level trader. So as soon as you go through this, now a lot of content that I'll be mentioning here today will be more relevant to you. So that being mentioned, I think it's time we start right away. So for anyone who joined late, you should find this particular episode will be available on FX Pesa YouTube, just in case you want to go through the notes again. In case you miss something, then you'll find that available. So let's get started right away. So I'm going to be sharing a slide with very quick pointers, which I'll be using as a reference as I try to peruse through various sites to help you understand these concepts and answer the questions that I set out at the beginning. So we'll be looking at fundamental analysis tools every trader should have, which is an exclusive webinar for FX Pesa or EGM securities clients. So first things first, we look at the economic calendar. So the economic calendar is basically a website or application that lists a number of key economic events that are expected to be announced. And once they're announced, then they also share the data, and every other trader around the world is able to access this data at roughly the same time. So I'll be starting with the FX Pesa Research Terminal. And once we go through this, we look at Forex Factory as well as investing.com. So once you create an account with FX Pesa, all you have to do is to log in to the fxpesa.com website and then move on this side of the menu here, and you'll see a section that is labeled analysis. So this is where you get the research terminal, signal center, assets overview, market news, technical newsletter, market calendar, research terminal, and so on. So I'm going to be jumping straight to the market calendar. So from here, we have two types of calendars. We have the corporate calendar and what we call the economic calendar. So the corporate calendar is a calendar that shows you the earnings reports that are expected in the markets for today, for the week, for the month, or for any date that you set your focus on. So here you'll see the basic highlights. And of course, the earnings are expected for the day are always the highlight. So for instance, today being the 23rd of August on a Wednesday, there's a couple of companies that are set to announce their quarterly earnings. So remember, we're in August, so all these companies will be reporting their quarter two earnings. So this basically represents how the companies performed in the 3 months after March, so April, May, and June. So there's earnings for Advanced Auto Parts Incorporated. As you can see, we have a forecast of $1.69 per share. This is earnings per share. There's a previous $0.72 per share. And of course, after the announcement, we saw that the company reported $1.43 per share. So if the reported earnings are lower than the forecast, we call this an earnings miss. So on the other hand, there is more companies that are expected to report later in the day. So we are seeing Bath and Body Works Incorporated, Quartz Corporation, Medtronic, among many others. So from here, you can see the description of the company, what it does. You'll see the date for the next earnings. This is August 23, data today. So the data is actually out, $1.43. So you'll see more details about the company in a very interesting way, presented to you in a way that you can easily consume the information. For instance, you can see the forecast versus actual data here, where the company has been outperforming earnings, but the general trend is downwards. So potential price range after earnings for quarter 2 2023 is also projected here for you. So it's a very easy to consume information, and all the major news that are currently on the internet about the company and different articles are basically shown here, where you can click on the link and read more about that company. And of course, you'll see the news sentiment. So besides these, we also have the other side of the calendar, which is the economic calendar, which basically highlights all the major news that are being expected in the markets for the day. So when it's red, it basically implies high impact news. When it's green, it's low impact news. And of course, when it's grayish, it's medium impact news. So by high impact, it basically implies that you expect the news to cause a lot of movements in the markets. If it's medium impact, it's slightly volatile, and low impact news are not expected to cause volatility in the markets. So as you can see, we are looking at MBA weekly mortgage application survey. We are looking at labor force survey in Norway. So you can see the respective country and its flag here. So in Japan, we'll be looking at nationwide department store sales. So new residential sales, monthly business survey. This is for France. CPI Tokyo, this is the consumer price index for Tokyo, which is the biggest city in Japan. Weekly petroleum status report for US. Turkey, we'll be looking at the Turkish interest rate decision, UK consumer confidence survey, and of course, more events can be checked below. So news that came in earlier in the day, US flash manufacturing PMI, US flash services PMI, you can see both they missed expectations. FCCI flash consumer confidence for the Eurozone, then new residential sales for the US. So all this data is provided in one comprehensive platform that is easy to browse through. So if you're in need of any market news, be it regarding stocks, Forex, all of it is available on one particular terminal. So then we have the other website, which is the economic calendar on a Forex Factory. So Forex Factory is basically a website that don't know what's happening with my chart here. So let me open just a new tab. So as I mentioned, if you have any questions relating to the presentation, feel free to type that in the live comment section and I'll be responding to that right away. So here we have the Forex Factory website. It basically is one website that I've been using for the last 8 years, and it has been always consistent. So the most interesting feature about Forex Factory is the economic calendar. So once you load the site, click on the calendar icon here, and then make sure that you harmonize the time. So click on the time zone and then set the time zone to your own settings. So right now it's 8:13 p.m. and it's the same on the website. So if there's any news on the calendar, they will be set in my local time. So the economic calendar is pretty simple to understand. It will show you a list of events that are expected for the week, for the month, for the day, and it makes it easy for you to understand. So the current selection is this week. So you can see what happened on Monday, what happened on Tuesday, what happened today on Wednesday, and there's more news coming up on Thursday as well as on Friday. So the economic calendar is very easy to read. First things first, we'll see the date and time. So on Monday, the 21st of August, at 1:45 a.m., there was news affecting the New Zealand economy, and the news were basically trade balance. So there's a small graph here indicating the impact of the news. So when it's red, it basically implies high impact news. Orange is a medium impact. Yellow is low impact, and sometimes you'll see gray, which basically implies no impact. So in this case, you'll see another column here. So this will give you the details for the news. So if you're looking at trade balance and you don't know what the trade balance is, you click on that icon and you'll see the description. So the news comes from a source called the Statistics New Zealand, basically the Statistics Bureau of New Zealand. So if you want to go deeper and go to the exact website that was releasing the news, you can always right click and go to the link. So this will take you to the website where the data is coming from. So as you can see, it's a government website, stats.government.new Zealand. And this is where they publish the news. But then the website is an aggregator. It gets data from different websites and put them in one singular platform to make it easy for you to use. So from here, you can read the insights of different reports released by the Department of Statistics in New Zealand. So you can see there was a overseas merchandise trade in July 2023, which was released on the 21st of August 2023. So here you're able to see the balance of payment. So if you click on the link, then you'll get the details of the entire report. So it's the same for all other news. So if you ever want to know where the data is coming from, just click here and then go to this link here that will direct you to the latest release. So on the next part, the measures presented by the data point is basically the difference in value between imported and exported goods during the reported month. So in this case, it was during the month of July. So the usual effect, actual greater than forecast is good for the currency. So it basically tells you that the actual data that comes here, you can see there's 3 columns. We have the actual data, we have the forecast, and the previous data. So if the actual data comes in better than the forecast, then it's generally good for that currency. In this case, it's New Zealand. So if the reported trade balance is higher than the forecast, you expect a positive momentum on the New Zealand dollar. So if you're trading a pair such as New Zealand USD and the actual data is better than the forecast, then you'd be expecting the New Zealand dollar to be gaining against the US dollar. So that's the way we interpret these. So you also need to know how frequently the news is released. So in this case, for the trade balance, it's done monthly, and this is usually about 22 days after the month ends. Then the next release, the date of the next release will be September the 22nd of 2023. Notes a positive number indicates that more goods were exported than imported. Then you will see a description of why it's important for traders. So export demand and currency demand are directly linked because foreigners must buy the domestic currency to pay for the nation's exports. So export demand also imports production and prices at domestic manufacturers. So we all know that if some company is looking to buy coffee in Kenya, they would first of all buy the Kenya shilling and then use the Kenya shilling to buy the coffee. So if a company is exporting more goods than it is importing, which basically means a positive trade balance, and if this number is improving month over month, it means that there are more people who are buying the currency first and then using the currency to buy goods, which creates demand for that currency. So today we are not going to be focusing on the meaning of these data points. I just want to give you a brief overview of where you find this information. So if you are to go through all the fundamental news and what they mean, then it will take a couple of hours or perhaps even days before we cover all the news available in the financial markets. So now we understand what this means, and also some news will have an alternative name. So the trade balance can also be described as the overseas merchandise trade. So you can also see related stories. So with that news, when it's reported, sometimes journalists and news editors will create articles describing the news and analyzing the news further to understand what happened. So for instance, you can see the official report is here from the stats.government.New Zealand. There's a link here. And of course, we have a news article from fxread.com describing how the New Zealand USD behaved after the release of the trade balance data. So you can see there's more news, and some of them may not have actual and previous, especially when you're looking at things such as speeches. So on Tuesday, we had a speech from FOMC member Goolsbee. So if you click here, you'll notice that it's a speech to deliver welcoming remarks at a Fed Listens event hosted by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. So in this case, investors will follow through the news to basically understand the content of the speech and whether there is some hints about economic policy, which they often react to. So if you go to this point, why traders care, then you'll see the explanation of the same. So Federal Reserve FOMC members vote on where to set the nation's key interest rates, and their public engagements are often used to drop subtle clues regarding future monetary policy. So in this case, when a Fed member is presenting a speech, wherever that is, investors will be following closely to get some clues about what they may do with the country's monetary policy. So now, as you scroll further, you'll see more news. And of course, we know the ones that have been having the biggest impact. For instance, if you look at today, we had a data release at 4:45 p.m. affecting the US dollar. And this was a flash manufacturing PMI and flash services PMI. So PMI is a short for Purchasing Managers Index. And of course, I already mentioned where to get the description. So if you read here, you'll understand what the PMI means and what it means for traders. So the data came in weaker than expected. So you can see a weaker manufacturing PMI at 47.0, lower than the projection and lower than the previous number. Flash services PMI came in weaker than expected, that at 51.0, lower than the projection and lower than the previous data. So as a result, there was an immediate reaction in the markets. So if you look at what happened in the markets at 4:45 p.m., I'll try and share this. You go to the USD index, which is a measure of the strength of the dollar. You can see a major weakening happening immediately after the release of the news. So for the better part of the day, the dollar index was pretty strong. But after the announcement of the news, you can see the sharp bearish momentum. So it also affected other assets. It's pound USD, it was majorly losing, but now after the news, you can see the immediate reversal. So the same case applies to the Euro USD, which was going down, now it's going up. And now you can understand the impact of this news. So for the dollar, against the Japanese yen, it continued losing, dropping further back downwards. Whereas if you look at the price of gold, it shot higher. You can see the dollar strengthening against the weak dollar. So some of these news can have a huge impact. So when you understand them and what they mean for the currencies, then you're able to react to this information in time. So for instance, if you are trading pound USD, let's say you missed the initial move. The initial move after the news announcement was the big green candlestick here. But now, since you understand the overall direction of the news, then even if you entered the market trade for a buy trade, expecting that the pound would continue strengthening against the dollar, then you could have gained at least some good pips from this area or to the current price, which is about 47 pips or basically 470 points. So you can see how this news can impact the markets. So it's very important to know where to get them and how to analyze or interpret this news. So now that we are through with the economic calendar with Forex Factory, I want to show you another angle, especially for gold and oil traders. So the Forex Factory website doesn't just provide news for Forex trading. So it also provides insights into gold as well as energies. So you can see the version of the same website that focuses on metals mine. So here you'll see a list of news that basically affect trading of metals, majorly gold. So the way you can get to this site, just go to, I think it's here. Yeah, just push your pointer to the logo of Forex Factory. Don't click on it, just scroll kidogo, select it down, click on metals mine, you can click on energy as well as crypto. So if you want crypto news here, energy, which is basically oil, metals, which is basically gold here. So for the energies, you can see news that tend to influence energies, metals. So as you can see, the most important news affecting gold for today being Wednesday is the area highlighted in red, which was the US manufacturing PMI and US flash services PMI. So when it came in weaker than expected, what we saw is basically the price of gold making a very strong momentum upwards. So if I go back here, then you'll see the price of gold moving further upside. So back to the same site. So this is the Forex Factory website. So as I showed you here, you just go to the menu and then click on metals mine. So it will take you to this site where you basically track all the news that are currently influencing the movement of gold. So going into tomorrow, we know that we'll be having UK LME copper inventories at 11 a.m. So if you trade copper, you expect these news to be moving the markets. That day of the BRICS summit, remember there's a BRICS summit happening this week in Johannesburg. So that day will be continuing tomorrow, and it has the potential of influencing the momentum of commodities. So remember, BRICS is basically Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So later on at 3:30 p.m., we'll be seeing US core durable goods orders, as well as unemployment claims all released at the same time. And they have the potential to move gold. And on Friday, we'll be looking at two major speeches at the Jackson Hole Symposium that will basically be starting tomorrow, but ending on Friday. So there will be a speech from US Federal Reserve Chairperson, which is Jerome Powell, who will be presenting a speech at 5:05 p.m. And this has the potential to cause volatility in gold. So that's just about it. And now for the other side, for energy, which I mentioned, you just go to the Forex Factory website, click on energy, and then it will redirect you to this site. So here you have a collection of news that has the potential to move oil markets as well as natural gas and any other energy commodities. So as you can see today, the major highlights was US flash manufacturing PMI at 4:45 p.m. And also at 5:30 p.m. we had US crude oil inventories. So the crude oil inventories came in at negative 6.1 million barrels, basically meaning that the crude oil inventories are actually worsening. Instead of improving to 2.9, they worsened. So when the inventories go down, there's low supply of oil, which basically has an effect of having prices moving higher. So US distillate inventories, gasoline inventories, and of course, we had the Russian industrial production. So when you check this against the price of oil, I'll try and share how oil reacted. So if you just look at one commodity here, this is UK oil, you can see that for the better part of the day, UK oil was moving downwards, found some support around 82.5 $0.25 per barrel. But then immediately after the announcement of the inventories, there was a big jump upwards. So the fact that there's low inventories, we know that when something is scarce, then the price tends to go up because it gets more value. So with scarce oil inventories in the US, then oil demand moved upwards. So if you check the official US oil, so it's the same thing. It was going down for the better part of the day, but after the announcement of the inventories, there was a big jump upwards, indicating that low supply is bullish for oil. So that's one of the sites to check for these. So it's very important that you understand these calendars and use them consistently. So it's a must-have tool whenever you are trading. So whenever you wake up and let's say open up your charts and you're looking at what to trade. So if you decide to trade oil, then you must have this chart by your side. You check all the major events that may influence the movement of oil, events that happened before. You want to know what happened in the morning, last night, yesterday, or from the beginning of the week. And this will give you a perspective of where the prices might be headed next. So there are alternative calendars. For instance, there's investing.com. So investing.com will basically give you similar information. So it's also a data aggregator collecting data from different websites. So for this one, all you have to do is to go to the economic calendar section from this area here on the menu. And then if you scroll, you'll get the news in a similar manner. So the date, the currency being affected, the importance of the currency, if it's 3 stars, importance of the event. So 3 stars basically denote high impact news, 2 stars medium impact, and 1 star low impact. So you can basically scroll through the calendar to look for high impact, low impact, and medium impact. So for instance, you can see building permits were basically major impact news over the week. You can see S&P Global US Services PMI, new home sales PMI, and of course, USD crude oil inventories were high impact news and so on. So the investing.com calendar is also so rich with data. You can also check other things out. You can see there's a calendar for holidays. So if you're tracking to see which economies have holidays, where the markets are halted or not being traded actively, then you can tell which holidays are oncoming. So for instance, there will be a bank holiday on August 28th affecting the UK. If you look at any major economy here, you could also see that there will be a Labor Day in the US on September 4th. So this way you can know the days when you don't expect much to be happening in the markets. So there is also what we call the holiday calendar. So the earnings calendar will basically show you the companies that are set to report their earnings within that period. So for instance, the biggest earnings that is expected today is NVIDIA, which is set to report its earnings at market close. So the US stock market basically closes at 11 p.m. So from here, you'll get the update. The expectation is that the company reports $2.07 as earnings per share out of $11.13 billion worth of revenue in the second quarter. So the market cap of the company is 1.15 trillion, which is basically the newest member of the 1 trillion club. So it's only a very small number of companies that have ever achieved $1.0 trillion valuation. So there will be more companies reporting: China Construction, Analog Devices. We are seeing Snowflake, Autodesk, Polyus, Splunk, net up, and so on. So in most cases, we focus on the big cap companies because at any given date, there's so many companies reporting earnings. So you want to focus on the ones that are most liquid, unless you are very much specialized in penny stocks and smaller cap companies. So besides these, there's more. So there's a dividend calendar, basically showing you the dividends that companies that are set to report dividends. So you can see the dividend dates for different companies. Then we have splits. So sometimes companies will split their shares to make them affordable, especially to employees as well as retail traders. So you want to see which companies are set to announce share split. So for instance, you can see Digital Media Solutions is set to do a share split on the 29th of August. And the share split is 1:15. So what it basically means is that if you have a share that is worth $150, that share will be divided into 15 different shares, but each share will be worth $10. So in this case, $10 times 15 will basically get you back to the same value, but then each share will be valued at a smaller price. So then we have the IPO calendar. So these are companies that are about to be listed on a major stock market exchange. So here you can tell the companies that are going public, and if you choose to participate in the IPO, then you'll know the exact date and the listing price as well as the IPO value. So the newest company that will be joining the New York Stock Exchange will be Newer Axis Incorporated on the 9th of August. So it's valued at about $7 million, and the IPO price will be $6 per share, and the last price was 5.4. So from here, you are able to go through and identify all of them. So as for the futures, you want to know which ones are expiring. So there's an expiration calendar. So here you can see the futures that are expiring soon. So for MCX, which is Indian, ICOMDEX bullion futures, they will be basically expiring on the 25th of August, which is basically 2 days from now. So for participants who are basically trading futures, from this calendar, you'll know when they are set to expire. So there's more. You can go to fxstreet.com. So fxstreet.com will basically give you the same information. So if you want, let's say, the economic calendar, you can click on it and you'll get to see the news that you're expecting for the week or for the month and so on. So it's similar with the other economic calendars. So I'll try to move a little bit faster because there's more content to cover for the day. So here you can see the impact is displayed differently, and yet it's telling you the same information. So you'll see the actual data, the previous, as well as the forecast, and so on. So next, in today's presentation, I'll be going back to my presentation here. So as I mentioned, for the presentation, it's just brief highlights of what we are talking about. So live streaming news, you want to know what is happening in the markets as soon as it happens. So if there's a new major thing happening in the market, especially in Forex, you want to know right away as it happens. So one of the ways to do this is to basically use Bloomberg. So Bloomberg is pretty easy to use. So I'm not saying you get a Bloomberg description, a Bloomberg subscription. So Bloomberg usually have a live channel where they basically report on financial markets. So this basically redirects you to basically financial markets news. So if you go to YouTube and then you search for Bloomberg Live, try and do this live. So you'll see this channel here. It's always live. So anything happening in the major global financial markets, they'll be one of the best and fastest people to correct this information and then share with the public. So I think my internet is slightly slow. I wonder why this is happening. I don't know if it's affecting you guys.
Jerome Powell's speech on Friday. When could we get a surprise and a shock to the market?
Yes, it has loaded. So here you can see they're discussing the current performance of the 20-year bonds in the US, which are basically allotted a high of 4.499% yield. So it's a major breaking news, and they're basically discussing about it. So if there's something big happening in the markets, most probably we'll find it on Bloomberg Live. But then we know that markets have changed, and not a lot of people have time to watch TV. So you want to get a pop-up as soon as something is happening in the markets. So you don't always have to go to Bloomberg Live, though it's an easy way, especially if you have a TV in your office or in your trading desk. You can always put in the Bloomberg Live so that you listen through the day as you continue. And if there's breaking news, you'll be easily identifying that set of news. So you can also use what we call Daily FX, which is a similar website to investing.com or even FX Street. But the advantage with this is you're able to check on the real-time news. So all you have to do is to, let me try and reload the site. So this particular site will give you a live stream of the news happening in the markets as they come. So I'm trying to reload so that I can show you where to get the news. So this is the homepage of the news. There will be various articles displayed, just like any other news site. But what you're interested in is the real-time news. So if you click on news, you should get a live stream of things that are currently happening in the markets. I don't know why mine it's not loading right now. So I might have to give it some time. Maybe it's my internet that is currently having some problem. But they basically live stream all the major news that are happening in the markets, and you can track these and see what announcements were made in the last 1 minute, 2 minutes, and so on. So another really nice site when it comes to live streaming news, and this is my personal favorite, it's called financialjuice.com. So financialjuice.com is one website that will be tracking all the news happening in the markets. And if it's a major breaking news, it will highlight in red. So for instance, what we are seeing here is Wagner Group reader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, was passenger on crashed plane. And this is from Financial Times, cites Russian officials. So we know that the Wagner Group reader has been on the forefront, especially with the attempted coup that happened in Russia some time back. And now he had traveled all the way to Niger and has been running an operation to protect the new coup government. And now we are just seeing, and I'm seeing this at this right moment, I'm just seeing this as we proceed with this presentation, basically showing that the leader of the Wagner Group military branch in the paramilitary group in Russia was part of a plane that just crashed. So this might have an impact on gold. So remember, when something bad is happening in the markets and people are uncertain of how it might blow out, then the natural reaction is to buy gold. So here we should be seeing some more volatility happening in gold, besides the news that we just saw. So part of this big momentum could also be as a result of the crashed plane. So other news that you'll find on this website being live streamed will basically be about bonds, commodities, crypto, equities, forex, indices, macro, and risk. And you can always select which one you want to focus on, or you can get all of them on aggregate. So for instance, you can see the need to know market risk, economic indicators, week ahead, US session, read here. So you can click on that and read what you're expecting for week ahead. For EU session, or basically European region, you read from there. So Wagner Group reader, Prigozhin was passenger on a crashed plane. So US non-farm payrolls are to be revised down by 306K in the preliminary estimate. This came in earlier in the day. US S&P manufacturing PMI flash, actual was 47, forecast was 49, previous was 49. So all these news that we are seeing on the economic calendar will basically be aggregated on one site called Financial News. So what we just saw being aired on Bloomberg is also available here. US 20-year bond auction, bid to cover ratio, high yield 4.499%, US sales $16 billion awards, and so on. So about bond markets, traders further target dovish Fed policy pivot on SOFR options. US State Department, the US is seeking 6-month extension to US-China Science and Technology Agreement. So all these news currently happening are available here. For instance, you can see the EIA, which is basically the Energy Department. US weekly field production of crude oil rose in the latest week to the highest since March 2020. EIA weekly petroleum status report. Another major news was on crude oil inventories. You can see the fear and greed index and many more data points that have been happening. So these news kind of stream naturally. And at the same time, you can see more oncoming data. So clearly, you can see you are expecting the US 20-year bond auction bid to cover ratio. And now the next data point you're expecting for the day is NVIDIA quarter 2 2023 earnings. So tomorrow we look at South Korean producer price index, which is short for PPI, Japanese foreign stock investment, and so on. So the news that we'll be expecting later, including the Jackson Hole symposium, are all listed here, and you can find all the information here. So I'm hoping that I've answered a majority of the questions that were initially on the presentation. So you are looking to understand where to get Forex news. We know that. Where should you, what news should you focus on? High impact and medium impact. Where do you get news about gold and oil? We have answered that. Then the next part, we look at we have looked at the economic calendars as well as earnings calendars. So where do you live stream market news? We have answered that. And now we look at the top analysts. So some of the top analysts that you will find are majorly on social media sites. So this might sound a little bit biased, but it's true. So all the top financial markets analysts in the markets, be it macro, gold, oil, they are all posting their content on Twitter. So they are not posting this content on Facebook, they're not on Instagram, they're not on TikTok. All of them are majorly on Twitter. So if you want to grab top quality content about financial markets, top quality analysis, top quality insights, insights from guys who have years and decades of experience in the markets, then Twitter is the platform to go by. And I'm not promoting the company. I'm basically identifying a fact that I've experienced over the years. So for macro commentary, I will be showing you a couple of profiles. So I'll be opening this one first. Open link. So Twitter has been renamed to X. So you might find a lot of people using the term X rather than Twitter. So Peter is basically a PhD holder, an economist, and a fellow at Mises, a former MBA professor, former bartender, maybe that's for fun. And then he has been doing a lot of good content. So he's basically doing videos almost every day explaining the key market developments happening. So for instance, I think I saw a video earlier that was presented by him. So mortgage rates hit 23-year high, doubling the monthly payment for a new mortgage to $2,600 a month. This is mortgage rates in the US. So the rates are rocking millions of people into houses they want to sell, and it's driving a nationwide shortage of houses, 46% below historical norms. So we already saw the data for new home sales in the US, but then for this analyst, he takes his time to explain what that means to the average investor. And this is information that you can easily consume. It's a 3 minutes, 30-second video that will give you more content and more understanding about the, the housing market conditions in the US. So there's more, guys. I don't know if I will be able to cover all of them real quick. Let me try and open this too. So my internet seems a little bit slow, but hopefully I get to cover enough to just give you a highlight. So Genevieve is basically an analyst working with Great Capital, a top finance newsletter on Beehive. So she basically shares macro insights on what's currently happening. For instance, I told you later today, the most anticipated event is the NVIDIA earnings. And you can see the most recent tweet from her is if NVIDIA misses earnings, wrong answers only. But then she also goes ahead and basically shows the CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang's net worth is now 39 billion, a 225% increase in 8 months. That's likely the fastest growth rate for any billionaire in the world for this year. You'll see $1 trillion companies. I think I mentioned this earlier. Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and NVIDIA. I think there's one more, which is a Saudi Arabia company called Saudi Aramco. If you bought Peloton at 167, so Peloton was a major company making the news today after it went down about 28% following worse than expected earnings report where it made a surprise loss and the company is continuing to lose. So from the all-time high that we saw 2 years ago, the company is down 96%. So it's a key thing you might want to check out when you have some time. So there's more accounts. There's Kobeisi later. There's Jesse Cohen. I'll try and do this quick. So here is the Kobeisi letter. It's an account that I personally recognize. I think I searched the wrong one, not this one. Yeah, here is the actual account. So they have some really good analysis and they are data driven. Let's see the most recent update 7 minutes ago. So the monthly mortgage payment based on a medium existing home is now at a record $2,322 per month. This is double the 1,200 peaks in 2008. Keep in mind 2,322 per month does not include taxes, insurance, or any other costs associated with buying a home. So if you add in taxes, and insurance, the median is nearly $3,000 per month. So they are basically explaining the housing situation currently in the US, which is a key data insight that could help you in trading, especially if you focus your trading on indices as well as stocks. And at the same time, it gives you an insight on the direction that the US economy is taking for a US dollar trader. So there's more accounts. We'll try and check more. Jesse Cohen investment. So sorry, I know I wasn't sharing that one. So this is the account for the Kobeisi letter. So we look at Jesse Cohen. So these are just highlights. There's just so many professionals out there sharing information, macro and insights, as well as analysis about the markets. So for him, he's a global markets analyst. He works with investing.com. So he's able to share more content faster than investing.com website. So for instance, you can see investing pro fair value price for NVIDIA is 309.89. NVIDIA earnings day, the expectation. And these are just basically stuff that I showed you and currently happening in the markets. These are good meme about NVIDIA and how it may affect other stocks in the NASDAQ. So you'll get some pretty good content from this particular account. So without wasting much time, I think I'll jump a majority of this and I'll look at Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge is an account I've followed for the last 8 years, and it always has some good content, especially on breaking market news. So straight up, I'll search here. So this is the account. Has about 1.7 million followers. Has been pretty consistent with their postings. So, for instance, the news that we just saw on the financial news website, the bodies of 8 dead were found at the crash site of an Embraer plane in the Tivar region. RIA Novosti was told in emergency services. It's a developing story on what's currently happening with Prigozhin, the paramilitary group leader in Russia. So, sorry, 20-year auction prices, we already saw that in various of the sites. Global PMIs point to further dollar weaknesses. We saw PMI data in the day-to-day. Reports that Prigozhin's second aircraft is currently maneuvering over Moscow. Prigozhin dead after his business jet with 10 people on board has crashed. 75% of cable TV advertising is funded by pharmaceutical companies. So you'll see more market updates happening every bit. So Zero Hedge is not one person. I think it's a company that is monitoring everything happening around the major financial markets and updating this by the second. So anytime there's a major breaking news, you'll most probably find it being posted by Zero Hedge. So one last one, as we approach the end of the presentation, we'll also be looking at breaking news from Watcher Guru. So you'll notice some form of correlation between all these sites, where different companies are focusing on different things, are almost reporting the same thing because they are focused on one thing, which is the global financial markets. So if something is happening, they'll probably be replicating the content. So you'll find from this account to the next one, to the website, to the live streaming website, to the economic calendar and other news sites, they tend to share the same kind of message. So just in, BRICS leaders agree to expand the alliance, announcement set for tomorrow. So now this is major news because some more countries that have applied to join the BRICS countries might be accepted during the ongoing BRICS summit in South Africa. So just in, US government charges Tornado Cash, crypto mixer founders, with laundering 1 billion and violating sanctions. What else? If you keep going down, you'll find more news. I think majorly the site has been more focused on the BRICS summit. So that's why we are seeing a lot of this. So just in, Russian President Putin says US dollar is losing its global role in an objective and irreversible process. So all these major news happening around the market, you can also find them being shared by Watcher Guru. So last website that was not on the presentation, and I think it was important to share, I'll be sharing a very interesting website called FinViz. So FinViz is a short for financial visualizations. It's one of the top websites where you can find a very nice and easy to use stock screener. So you also get a very nice map of the performance of the stock market for the day, for the week, and for the year to date. So for the day, you have an easy graphic to basically read all that has been happening for the top 500 companies in the US, basically shown according to their size or weighting in the S&P 500 index. So the companies with the highest weight include Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Amazon, Tesla, and so on. So the way they have performed is shown in green, 3.12% gain since the stock market opened today. Nike had worse than expected earnings. It's down 2.63%. So there's also another company here in the red. This is Insulet Corporation, down 2.99%. So here you're able to scan through and see the best performing sectors. And of course, you can always customize. Let's say you want to see how the stocks have performed year to date. So after you do the customization, then you'll be seeing the calendar basically showing you different values. So NVIDIA is one of the best performing companies for the year, up 221%. Apple 39, Google is up 50, Meta or Facebook is up 146%, Tesla is up 92%, Amazon 61, and so on. So if you look at General Electric, up 73% and so on. So you can basically get a brief overview of how the entire market has performed. So besides this, you can also get the Forex performance. So if you go click on Forex from the menu, you'll see how currencies are performing. I think the most bullish has been gold, which is up 1.14%. Bitcoin is also really up 2.25%. Audi USD 0.84%, USDN down 0.79%, and so on. So if you want to see in terms of performance, a comparative comparison of how currencies have performed, you'll notice that the weakest currency for the day has the pound, which has lost 0.03% to the dollar, whereas all these other currencies have been gaining against the dollar for the day. So the Australian dollar being the most bullish, followed by the Japanese yen, the New Zealand dollar, the Swiss franc, the euro, and the CAD. So if you want to see, let's say, month to date, this is from the first date of the month to today, then you'd notice that the strongest currency has been the dollar, and all these other currencies have been losing to the dollar, with the New Zealand dollar losing the highest, which is down negative 3.63%. So this will help you gain an understanding of how these currencies are performing over the time. So you can also look at groups. So groups will basically show you the performance of various sectors. So for instance, the best performing sector in the markets today is communication services. That is for US equities. Tech sector is also up, real estate, and the worst performing is energy. So you can see the 1 week performance, you can see the 1 month performance, 3 months, half year, 1 year, and so on. So this will give you a better perspective on the markets you're tracking and becomes easy for you to understand the top currency movements. So with that, I would like to thank you all for taking your time to join in this conversation. So I'm hoping that I was able to provide value to you guys and you learned a thing or two. And hopefully on the next exclusive VIP webinar, I'm going to be presenting even more quality content that helps you improve your trading and engage in the market from an informed perspective. So thank you very much, everyone. See you on the next one.